It's great to be with all of you today. I'm Gregory Palmer, resident bishop of the West Ohio Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church. And it's my privilege today to welcome into conversation and for the purpose of some greater introduction to the entire West Ohio Annual Conference, Susan O'Donnell Black, who is the new executive director of the United Methodist Foundation of West Ohio. Welcome, and thanks for being with us this morning, Susan.
Thank you, Bishop. It's a real pleasure to be here to talk with you today.
So this is a new gig. You started part-time, middle of September, full-time October 1 of 2020. Why and how did you feel called to the work of leading a United Methodist Foundation in an annual conference? And by the way, a conference that had not had a foundation before.
Right. Thank you so much for the question, Bishop. So I grew up in the Methodist Church. I was fortunate enough to have church as part of my life throughout my upbringing. I grew up in Marietta, Ohio, and I attended Christ United Methodist Church there. And I distinctly remember my Sunday school classes and my youth group and my confirmation class, and of course going to Camp Otterbein in formative years. And church has just always been a really important part of my life. I was very active at Christ United when I came back from college and graduate school in Virginia. And then I've been a member of Lithopolis United Methodist Church for the last 25 years or so. And I'm very active there with our music ministry and with UMW. And about 10 years ago, I began serving as a lay member to annual conference. And it's then that I really kind of fell in love with what was happening at the annual and general conferences about the missions, the ministries, and even some of the stances that the church was taking on difficult issues. And I learned by becoming part of the board of the Council on Development. And when the position for the executive director came open, I felt the nudging of the Holy Spirit, but I pushed that away thinking, well, that's not what I want. And I finally relented, realizing that maybe this was what God wanted for me and for the plans that God had for my life and for the foundation. So I threw my hat in the ring, and I was warmly received. And it's just been a real privilege to come and work at the conference at this time.
Well, we're glad that you're here. If I may sort of tease out a little bit about your sense of call ever so briefly, you had your own consulting firm where you assisted other, mostly not-for-profit organizations in their fund development. So what does that
Correct.
feel like? You feel closer to fund development, fundraising, and long-term futures financially, or not so much now? How does that differ for you?
Well, it's very different in some ways and similar in others. So I will try to explain a little bit of the difference. So most of the nonprofits that I worked with were doing fundraising in a different way, really, than the conference does its fundraising. They were mostly focused on what's called annual giving, and we at the conference are really more focused on planned giving. So that's a big switch for me, is switching from one to the other. However, the consultative nature of my work is similar. I find when I get phone calls from pastors and endowment chairs and things of that of local churches, it feels very comfortable. It feels very much the same, like having that consultation. What's going on? How can we assist you? How can we get to the root of what's going on and how we can help you achieve your goals? So that part is very similar. So I'm enjoying that aspect of it too.
So a local church chair of finance, or maybe their local church endowment committee, a pastor of a local church, chair of an administrative council or board, calls your office. What can they expect?
That's a great question. So first of all, they can expect me or my staff person to answer the phone. I think that's important for them to know. And they can expect to be heard. What I mean is that the folks can expect personalized service and answers to their questions in a timely fashion. And they can expect us to listen to what they're trying to achieve and do our best to help them achieve it. What I've found already in some of the phone calls that I've received is that they come with a very specific technical question. And as we tease out the answer to that, I find that it's really about something bigger. It's about a goal that they have or a dream that they have as a congregation, something that they're trying to achieve. And we start looking at it a little bit differently and we realize, okay, well, actually, we could help you in several ways. And oh, okay, and we kind of have this back and forth conversation. So they can really expect to be heard. But I think the most important thing that I want to emphasize is I'm also working on ensuring that our donors, and that includes, of course, our local congregations, trust the foundation. This is the most important thing I do in my position. My staff and I will do our best to get it right. And if we don't, which we won't always, we will do our best to make it right. So that's really important to me, that the people who call feel a sense of trust within the foundation.
Mhm. Mhm. So, in this time of people feeling really pressed about resources in the local
Mhm.
church, in particular, the
Mhm.
pandemic layered on top of everything else around giving, over the last several years. What word of hope, encouragement, insight would you offer to local congregations and individual donors and givers about
Mhm.
giving in this time?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So my best advice for congregations is don't stop asking. And don't apologize for asking. That's one of my main tenets in general, is never apologize for asking for support for something you care about. But don't stop asking. I think a lot of churches think, oh, well, we can't ask right now. People are having a hard time. This isn't the time to let the stewardship program go to the wayside, or to stop talking about the future, stop talking about future plans, future ministries, or church growth. I know that I've seen, and I know you have too, Bishop, that our churches are doing incredible things in this incredibly difficult time. Share that news and ask people to support your work through regular online giving. That's the best advice I can give to churches right now. And if you're a person in a congregation or attends one of our congregations, continue to give. Make sure that even if, like me, I'm participating in my church online right now. I don't feel comfortable going back to church, but I've set up a recurring gift so that when I'm not there to write my check and put it in the little envelope and put it in the offering plate, that money is still going in. And that's really important to do as well. We need to talk about the future. We need to ask people to invest in the long-term health of the church through endowment giving and planned gifts. This is not a time to stop talking about those things either. So keep asking, keep giving.
This is a marathon, not a sprint. And
Yeah.
so thank you very much. So, as we close, if there were one to three things, the one to three
Mhm.
most important things that you want the people of West Ohio to know about the foundation, what are they?
Absolutely. So, the first thing I want them to know is that we are a resource. We're a resource specifically for you, United Methodists of the West Ohio Conference. Your congregations, your missions, your ministries, and programs, you are vital to your community, and we want to help you stay that way for a long time. So, we're a resource for you. I also want people to think of us as a partner. We want to help you build and grow your annual stewardship program and give you options for investing in the future of your congregation through endowments. So, those are two really important things. I would also just add the third, which is this: our God is a generous God, and God is
Hmm.
not finished with us yet. We are living in difficult times, and many of our United Methodist churches are worried about the future, but God is not. God knows the plans that God has for us, just like the plans God had for my life and your life. And He has plans for the church through every congregation and community. I believe that generous giving unlocks those plans, and we can start today to build God's kingdom for tomorrow.
So grateful you're here for this time, this season, and this work. God bless you as you move among us in West Ohio.
Thank you so much, Bishop. It's a pleasure to be here.